Hello, and thank you so much for joining me. My name is Sharon Rogers, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Wells, Maine. And every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, I bring you an online class. The class is free to watch. However, if you would like the class kit that will allow you to create each of the projects you see here, then simply place an order of $35 or more in my online store. Now, tonight's projects feature the Take to the Sky suite from the 2024-2025 annual Stampin' Up! Catalog. And I love this suite. It is certainly great for masculine themed cards and projects, but everybody will love what you can create with this. I know I do. Let's get started. We're going to start off this class with a very simple card. Made simple, but it looks beautiful. And we're going to begin with a piece of copper clay cardstock. That's going to be our base. We will cut that at 5.5 and then score it at 4 1/4. Just a traditional base. We will fold on that score line and burnish it. Now we need a piece of Night of Navy cardstock, and I'm going to select this to be 2 3/4 by 4 inches, 4 1/4 long. That's going to go right here. I need a piece of smoky slate that is 3 by 1. I'm just using some scraps right now. Both my navy and my smoky slate came out of my scrap bins. Okay. And then we need a piece of basic white. I happen to have a piece here, and I need one that measures 3/4 inch wide. Let's see what this is. That's 7/8, so we'll need to cut it down a little bit. So 3/4 inch by 2 3/4. So I'll cut the 2 3/4 first. And we want this to be 3/4 inch wide. All right, so I've got those layers, and then all we need is a piece of Designer Series paper. Now, the Designer Series paper in this pack is really very nice. So we've got the planes. This is the one that we're going to be using. On the back, we've got some sort of topographical kind of map. We've got clouds and plaids, some flying planes, and then we've got this one that's all sorts of different tags and layers that you can make. You've got some planes on some blue grid, some green map kind of stuff with some blue, kind of looks like a fabric, coarse fabric. And then we've got some green planes, and then we've got like blocks like you might see from overhead from a plane. I think that's it. Oh, we got, yeah, that's about it. All right, so we're going to take this piece right here, and I want a piece that is going to be taller than it is wider. I'm going to cut a piece that is 4 inches this way, 4 inches tall. By 2.5 inches wide. And then aside from a basic inside card layer, which I have a bunch of these already cut up, this is 3 3/4 by 5. We're all set. We're ready to go. So I'm going to, let's first start, let's get the hard part out of the way. And you know, it's not really hard. It's stamping. So let's get out our ink. I'm going to go with Night of Navy. And if I get out my stamp set, let's see, where is that? Get out my stamp set, and we're gonna go with You're the Best, Plain and Simple. I have a use for these kinds of sentiments all the time. Nice thank yous. And while everybody would probably like a thank you card with planes on it, this, I think goes very well for masculine cards. All right. Now this is going to get layered right onto here. Just put that right on there. And ooh, slip sliding around, which is generally a good thing. You can get it just how you want it. I'm going to adhere my designer series paper to the slightly larger Night of Navy piece. Okay. And these are all just colors that I pulled from the back of the, let me show you the back side of the designer series paper. It tells you what colors you have: boho blue, copper clay, mossy meadow, Night of Navy, and smoky slate. So copper clay, Night of Navy, smoky slate. Those are the colors that I'm pulling in right now. I think I want to adhere this just with regular adhesive. And I'm going to adhere it so that the left top and bottom margins are the same. There's a little bit wider one over here, but that's going to get balanced by this little piece right here that we are going to pop up on dimensionals. And I am trying my best to use up the edges of my dimensionals, because where I hold them is getting quite full of these partial sheets. Mostly because I start a new one when I just can't find my dimensionals because I haven't put them away properly. Yeah, that's me. So I'm gonna just put that right, I think right here. Let's see, how's that look? Oh, let me see if I can. But I cover up some planes there, so let's comb down a little bit. All right, and then I'm gonna put on one of these trinkets. So this is the industrial trinket, and you can adhere it on either side. So you've got this one that kind of looks like some sort of bolt and nut, I think. Or you've got this one that's got, you know, some kind of cool design on it. So I'm just gonna put that on there and see which one I like best. There or there. I think I'm gonna go with this one, this side. I'll just take a glue dot and adhere that and pick it up off of here and adhere right down there. And so there's a quick and simple card. And all we need to do is put something on the inside. Now this inside's pretty plain. So I'm gonna bring in a plane and put this somewhere. I don't think I want it in the bottom. I could put it in the bottom right, or I could put it in the top. I'm gonna put it in the top right. I'm just keeping it very simple, one color of ink. There we go. There There we have a little plane in there. If you wanted to color that plane, you certainly could, but I'm not going to. We'll adhere this to the inside. This is a very, very simple layout that you can always fall back on. It always looks good. And when you need a quick and simple card, if you've got a little bit of DSP, some cardstock, that's what you can come up with. For this next card, we are going to step it up just a little bit, still keeping it pretty simple, but bringing in some die cutting. And we'll begin with a piece of Night of Navy. We're going to do the same thing that we did before. Cut it in half at 5.5. And I noticed that this corner's bent, so I'm going to use the other side and score it at 4.25. And I'm going to add another layer of Night of Navy, and I want it to be roughly the same size as, well, I guess we could go smaller. Let's cut it at, we'll cut it at 2.5. We're going to be bringing in an embossing folder. And it is a new one. It is called So Swirly Embossing Folder. And there is some of the Designer Series paper in this package that made me think of using this one. Let me see if I can find it. So this one reminded me of it a little bit. And was there another one? There might not have been another one. I guess that was it. Oh, we're gonna need this one too, so I'll get this one out. All right. And I'm going to bring this So Swirly. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but this is a big embossing folder. Let me get out one of the ones that we've typically used up until now and show you by size, side-by-side comparison, the size difference. Quite a bit bigger, which means that you can emboss larger pieces, so maybe box wraps, or just whether you have a little bit more choice of what part you want to feature. I think this kind of reminds me, it not only reminds me of kind of waves at the beach and you know how the water kind of swirls around in the little eddies there, but it also reminds me of wind patterns. So that's why I thought I would bring this one in. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And for embossing, we just need our number 1 plate. You know what? This is a regular embossing plate. So I think I just need plates number 1 and let me see. It's been a long time since I haven't used a 3D. So with a regular standard embossing folder, you're going to just use plate number 1, a number 3 plate, your folder, and always put the fold through first, and then another number 3 plate. So we'll just bring that through. Let's see what we get here. I'm gonna keep these close by because I am gonna be die cutting in just a moment. Let's see, you get some really, really nice texture there. All right, so I'm going to take my card front, and this is going to be adhered down right to that front, right to the right edge. And you can choose whichever side that you want to feature. right up to the edge. There we go. I'm going to take a little piece of this paper, which is smoky slate. I'm going to cut a 5.5 inch long piece. And then I only need about a half an inch strip. I'm not done with this, so I'm going to keep that for just a little bit. You could make this a little bit longer than a half an inch. It doesn't really matter. But before you do anything else, you're going to bring in this patterned paper. Now, you can tell that, you know, how you hold it probably doesn't really matter because the planes seem to be going in all sorts of directions. So I'm just trying to think though. I think I really do want it vertical like this. Again, it probably doesn't matter a bit. I'm going to cut it 5.5 inches long, so full length of the cardstock, and 2 inches wide. Let me see, which two do I like? I think I like this two right here. All right. So what's going to happen is we're going to adhere this strip just to the edge. You know, this would look really nice in silver too if we got out the silver. But smoky slate also looks great. So we're just going to have that little accent going on there. So to add that, I'm going to just put a little bit of glue right along this edge. And adhere this down just so I get the same amount. So I want to just make sure that the part that's sticking out at the bottom is the same width as the top. The liquid glue allows me to just play with this enough so that I can get a nice little border right there. And then I'm going to adhere that down there. Oh, this glue likes to come out fast. Okay. I'm going to adhere this right to the front. All right. There we go. Now I could just add a sentiment here, and that would be great, but you know what? Let's do a little stamping. Now I said we were kind of going to stay in a monochromatic kind of feel. I realize there's gray, but gray is not, you know, it's like gray is a combination of black and white. So I feel like that doesn't compromise the monochromaticness. The rest of it's blue. Like white and black don't affect something being monochromatic. So I think we're going to go with that. I'm going to bring in this die right here. This is from my Countryside Corners dies, and I'm going to use that a little bit later for a faux shadow box card, but I've used the one that's the third largest, and I chose that one because of my stamp that I want to use. I want to use this large plain stamp. It's the largest one in the set. I don't need a block this big, however, that's the one that I just grabbed, so that's the one we're going to use. And I need my Night of Navy ink. Make sure that's inked up well. And you know, what I could have done is I could have cut out first, because this is really just simple stamping. I could have die cut first, but now I can make sure everything is as centered as I want it to be. I do want to put it a little bit closer to the top, I think. All right, that's about where I want it. I'm gonna just secure this down just a little bit with a piece of washi tape, and I will bring back in my Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. And because we are cutting, I need a number 1 plate, and I need to get my number 2 plate back. And then I need a number 3, get my plane in here. Now, ideally, I don't like it to go through with that hard edge like that. I can go ahead and make that work for me just by cutting this off. Just a scrap. So let's see, I think it moved a little bit. There we go. And we're going to put this right over here. Oh, you know what? I could have die cut something else at the same time. Oh well, lesson learned. I'm going to show you that a little bit later as well. That, you know, with a little bit of planning, you can save how many times you have to get your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out. Just very carefully removing that washi tape. All right, I have some good widths here. I'm going to hold on to that for a little bit later in case I need some white scraps. Remember that, you know what, I need this. So let's just talk about what I need it for. Remember this smoky slate scrap that I had? Well, I'm going to be stamping a sentiment on that. So let's get my sentiment out. And in this set, there's "You Always Lift Me Up," "To My Friend," "Happy Father's Day," which is gone by now, but there's always next year, "Flying By to Say Hi," "You're the Best," "Plain and Simple," and "Happy Birthday." I'm going to pull in the "Happy Birthday." And by the way, that "You're the Best," "Plain and Simple," that is a great inside greeting. It doesn't have to be the front greeting. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this in Night of Navy. Happy birthday. Okay. Put my ink away. And then I'm going to bring in one more die. And this is from that plain set, the Adventurous Sky. And that fits perfectly right in there. I mean, it's tight, but that's what it's made to do. So I'm going to just take a piece of washi tape and kind of tack that down. And you know what? I think I'm going to do it on both ends. That's a pretty long die. Now we'll go ahead and die cut that again. Well, not again, but we'll use our die cutting machine again. Because these are the cling stamps and not the photopolymer, you really do have to stamp and then die cut because it is too hard to hope to get a straight alignment of your stamp on a die cut. So, you know, something that you die cut first. Photopolymer, I say do it the other way all day long because then you don't need washi tape at all. But so see how that's just the right width? So let's bring in some of our pieces here. We've got those pieces and we've got our card. let's see. And we can put this on the front here. Remember, the planes kind of go any which way. We can put them right here. Let me see, I'm gonna play with this just a little bit. I think this goes along the bottom pretty nicely. So I'll do something like that. So let's go ahead and pop this up on dimensionals. I'm getting close to using all the edges here. Let's see. Sometimes the corners don't want to come off nicely. There we go. And I want to just secure that center, I think, a little bit. So we'll tear off a little piece there. Look at, I got one little piece, one little corner piece left. And so we have this. And I'm just going to add this with regular glue. Happy birthday. And I think we need some embellishments. So maybe we get out the trinkets again. And maybe I do a different side of the trinket than I did last time. So remember last time we did this side. What if I did this side this time? Where do we want it? Do we want it up here? Do we want it in the middle of the propeller? No, I don't like that. Could put it down there. I think I kind of like it up here though. Yeah, so let's again get out our glue dot. And this time we're going to add the glue dot to the rounded side, not the decorative side, and put that right up here. Now, if you wanted to add a little bit of something to this, you could probably color in the wings just a little bit with a very soft, light boho blue. The boho blue is a little dark. You could lighten it with the color lifter. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella. And instead, I'm going to add Stella to the propeller wash. It's probably not the wash, but you know, the piece that is made by the propeller spinning around. Let's see, can we see that? I think you can. I can see it sparkling. Okay. And let's see if I can, I don't know if you can you see the shimmer at all? I can see the shimmer. This just adds something a little bit fun to that portion of it. You know, I really do want to add some blue in there, so I'm going to bring in my watercolor pencils. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding with that. I'm going to bring in my boho blue, and I'm going to show you that you can paint pretty easily with a watercolor painter or a blender pen. Add a little bit of water by squeezing in here. That puts some water down in there. And I'm not going to use too much water because this is just regular paper. So it's just a really, really light wash over here. And I can do it for the plane's body. Whole plane is blue, because of course we are doing a monochromatic piece here. Okay, the only part that's not blue is, you know, I don't want the wheels and this front part to be blue, and I don't really even care about bringing in the smoky slate. But just adding that quick little color adds a little bit more pop to that. And there is our card. We just need something on the inside. Again, here is one of those 3 3/4 by 5-inch pieces that I have for the inside. And you know, I think I'm going to bring in some more of these planes just to kind of add to the bottom of this. Just a really quick and easy way to dress up the inside. We just maybe make a, I don't know, 5/8 inch strip. We will add just a little bit of glue over here all the way to the edge. There. Flip that over. Trim it. I can put it on here. And I think I'm going to bring back in that "You're the best," because even on somebody's birthday, we want them to know that they are the best. Maybe you're sending this to your best friend, or maybe you're sending it to a spouse who could also be your best friend. Maybe it's a child. Maybe it's just somebody that appreciates puns. Do you appreciate puns? I do. I think they're very punny. All right. Put this right in here. And there we have it. A happy birthday card. You're the best. Plain and simple. Now, did you know that in your catalog on page 22, you will find 22 card sketches. These card sketches serve as inspiration for different layouts that you can use with your elements. And of course, you can do anything that you want, but if you're stuck, challenge yourself to incorporate one of these sketches. Now, I'm committing over the course of this catalog to do a card, at least one card with each of the sketches. So I'm going to take that first one that was shown right here, and France Martin, I think she goes by Frenchy Stamps, she blew all these up and kind of put some measurements to that, the ones that were shown. Now, one thing you need to know about the card sketches is just because you see certain measurements and certain angles or ends doesn't mean that you have to do them. Like this suggests that there might be some ribbon. You don't have to use ribbon. This suggests that there's ribbon in the background. Maybe you use cardstock strips. Maybe you have a square piece instead of this rectangle here. So you use this as inspiration, as a starting place. Now I'm going to go ahead and use it as a starting point. But I'm going to start with a base of, I'm going to keep this right here, soft seafoam. So this is a regular card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in half at 4 1/4. And I'm going to cover that with this plain sheet right here. You can see these greens go nicely. It's Mossy Meadow. Sometimes if I want to know if something goes together well, I'll just go on to Pinterest and say, Stampin' Up! Mossy Meadow. Color combinations comes up and I just see what I get. So I'm going to cover this whole front of the card here. I could do a layer. I certainly get more for my DSP's worth if I do a 4-inch strip here instead of a 4 1/4. But I'm going to go ahead and cover the whole front of the card because sometimes that's just really nice to do. I'll show you a little bit later how you can maybe alter that. I mean, it's a pretty easy fix, just to make your card a little bit smaller. All right, so now we have this right here going on. Let's go ahead and adhere that down. To the front of our card. And these planes fly in all directions, so I don't really have to worry too much about what's up, what's not. All right, now it looks like I need, and I do, a layer that's 2 3/4 by 3. I'm going to go ahead and bring this other half in and make that 2 3/4 by 3. So if I do 3 and I do 2 3/4, I happen to know I get two 2 3/4 ones here by 3. So there we have that. And now we need a piece that's 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. I'm going to make that white because I'm going to stamp on that. So 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. So 3 3/4. I got to cut it off this side here by 2 1/2. All right. So I've got this piece, and I will worry about this strip in a little bit. So 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. See, that already looks a little suspect to me. It already looks too long. It doesn't look in proportion to me. So I'm going to cut that down to see if it's maybe supposed to be 3 1/4. See if that might be a little bit better. And so like if I angled that like this, and I put this like this, that kind of looks a little bit better to me, doesn't it to you? And I'm just gonna arrange it a little bit differently. We'll have a little bit more showing down here. Looks like this top one's supposed to go like kind of like that. Yeah. Not my favorite, but we're gonna go with it. It definitely looks better cut down a little bit. Now, if I go ahead and stamp on this, I'm sure it will look a lot better. So I'm gonna bring in my stamps. And I think what I'm gonna do is stamp my planes in green. And I am going to, let's see how this medium-sized plane looks here. So I could get that plane right on there. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And we will stamp in Mossy Meadow. So let's see. I guess we should probably stamp him going up, right? And then I think what I'd like to do is I would like to take the smaller plane and put him so it looks like he's in the background. So maybe this guy's kind of going up a little bit more. All right. That's all right now. Now let's see if we kind of put this on here. We have something that goes like that. We're gonna put a little sentiment strip in here. What else do I need to do up there? Well, you know what? I could put in some clouds. That would look pretty good, I think. I could bring in my soft seafoam. I have all the colors, so I could do that. But let's stamp off, because that's another way to get a coordinating look. So here's my larger one. I stamped off a little bit. And so it's a little bit softer when it's over there, right? Looks a little bit better. All right, so maybe I can just do that. Maybe I bring the other one in. So you don't have to have all the inks. I love having all the ink colors. But, you know, I know that it's also not really feasible for everyone to get them when they're first starting out, especially. So you do what you can. This looks nice, I think. I like this. I like how it's coming out so far. There we go. So we just have that simple image there. All right, I'm going to bring in a piece of Mossy Meadow. I'm bringing in the You're the Best plain and simple stamp again. Do love that stamp. Just goes by so much. All right, and we'll add, I stamped in Versamark. We will add our embossing powder. Now, I don't have the new Wow embossing powders. They just came in. Mine were supposed to be delivered today, but Mr. UPS or Mr. USPS, whoever, did not come through for me. So I will have to wait until probably tomorrow. That's all right. I can be patient. I have some older stuff to get me by. And the embossing powder really does last quite a while. You have to emboss a lot to use up this jar. Now we will heat it. I'll let my heat tool heat up just a little bit first. Okay. Notice I'm holding it at a slight angle. You don't want to fire it straight at it because the heat bounces back and that bounces back into your heat tool and it's not good for it. It will cause it to overheat. So always hold it at an angle and hold it at an angle away from your hand. That's my best advice for you. And I always unplug my heat tool afterward also. I was reading today that somebody said you should always unplug everything that you're not using. And I was like, that's a lot of work. A little too much work for me. Let me just anchor this down and die cut it and come right back. Okay, here we are. We have this piece. Let's bring in our little layers here. And let's see, we have something like this, and this, and this. And we could put a bow on there, or we can put something else on there. I'm gonna just leave that for a second to see what I wanna do. But let me show you what happens if you bring in another non-color. So we're not ruining the aspect of tone on tone, but we are getting a little bit of a different look. And I think I like this because it adds a little bit of grounding to that plane. I think I like that better. Who knows? I might even like a different color better. Let's see. I got a couple other colors in here I could play with. Let's see. Do I like the, oh, I kind of like how the blue comes in here. And what I like, you know what? I think I like this one best. So 2 3/4 by 3. It's all about playing around. It's paper, so don't be shy. This kind of goes with all the other ones I've been creating too, right? So there we've got something that looks like that. And you can have it off in any direction that you want. You can have it so this peeks down. You can have it that this is over here a little bit. You could even put it up top, I don't want it up top, and I don't like it right there. So I think I'm going to do something that looks a little bit like this. Maybe angle the other way. Stretch that out a little bit. That looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to remember where it is, sort of. Put my glue in here. Didn't want to come out for a second. Now it wants to really come out. So I'm going to lay it down like this. And I'll lay this piece over the top. And remember, this one's going to go up and down vertically. It's not going to do anything funky. It's going to be like this. All right. And then this right here, what I'm going to do is pop that up on dimensionals. That'll help it stand off a bit. All right. There we go. Something like that. And if I wanted to bring in some ribbon, remember this stuff? Oh, actually you don't, because I filmed, this is the jute, in color jute, and I filmed the next project first before anything. So I had already taken one of the threads out of here, so you can just, the jute itself is very, very thick. I wouldn't use it to mail, but you can certainly take some of the strands apart, and then you have something much more workable. And we can tie this into a little bow, and we could add that right here. Let's go ahead and trim those ends. We'll take a little bit of a glue dot. And there is our version of sketch number 1. Now, as I mentioned before, if you place an order of $35 or more in my online store by Sunday, June 30th, I will send you a card kit full of the paper and embellishment consumables that you will need to create each of the projects you've seen here tonight. Now, obviously, you're going to want to get the Adventurous Sky bundle, but great news, that is on sale for the month of June 2024. Now, if your order is $60 or more, I'm going to include a package of the industrial trinkets, which adds so much to these projects. You can find the ordering link that is specific to this card class and the kit below in the description of this video. Now let's get back to creating. I'm going to begin by showing you the basics of the faux shadow box card. We will begin with a piece of thick basic white that measures 4 inches by 11 inches. Now, typically a card base would measure 4 1/4 by 11, and we would fold it in half at 5 1/2. But because I want to cover the entire front of this card, what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this down to 4 inches, because my designer series paper comes in a 12 by 12 sheet, and 12 is evenly divisible by 4. So I will be able to get much more out of 4-inch widths than 4 1/4 inch widths. All right, I'm going to set this aside for a second. I did already go ahead and score that at 5 1/2. So there is my card base. Doesn't look too much different than a normal card base. It's just a teeny tiny bit skinnier. All right, then I need to bring in a piece of basic white, and I don't know exactly how much basic white you're going to need, but you're going to need quite a bit because we're going to be stamping some planes and clouds and die cutting them, and we also need some other pieces for our faux shadow box. One piece that I need is going to measure 4 by 5 1/4. So there's my 5 1/4, and I need a 4. And then I need 2 pieces that measure 1 1/2 by 4 inches. So I know I just cut that at 3, but trust me. So here's 3 by 4. I'm going to cut it in half at 1 1/2. So now I have 2 pieces that measure 1 1/2 by 4. I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored board, which is what I love to use when I've got a bunch of scoring, especially of little increments to do. I'm going to put my little 1 1/2 by 4 inch piece in there, and I'm going to score it at 3/8 of an inch. So every 3/8 basically. Whoops, so 3/8. Then the next 3/8, because each one of these tick marks on your Simply Scored board is an 1/8. So the next 3 would put it at 3 1/4. These measurements will be in the tutorial that comes along with the class kit, by the way. And 1 1/8. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other strip. So 3/8, 3/4, and 1 1/8. And I think you can see that it breaks this into 4 equal sections. We are done with our scoreboard. We're going to take these pieces and we're going to accordion fold them, which just means zigzag back and forth. And we make sure we've got nice burnishing of those lines. All right, so there. These are going to be what pops up that front piece. Now what we need to do before we go any further in adhering things, we need to bring in our designer series paper. So I have my 2 patterns here. These are just pieces left over from some other projects. Sorry, getting my cutter out. So I need 1 piece that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and I think this is already 4. It is. So 4 by 5, 5 1/2. I'm so used to saying 4 by 5 1/4. I want 4 by 5 1/2 because I want it to cover the entire front there. Okay. I want my clouds to be on my card. That's what's going to be kind of in the background. And you can see that it's the same size. We're going to just adhere that. We'll see how long this glue bottle lasts. It's running on empty. You know what? It's empty. So let's bring in another one. I knew that was going to happen, so I had another one prepared. Just adhere that on there. Make sure everything's covered, which it is. There we go. And then on the regular piece that measured 4 by 5 and I cut it wrong. I knew I'd do that. Hold on. So now if I put this here, yeah, that's better, right? we're going to adhere that. Now, this particular sheet of paper, let me bring in the other one as soon as I get this adhered and show you. You know what? I'm going to put a little bit more in here. I'll explain why in a minute. I'm going to adhere this to the front. And you can just kind of square up everything, make sure it completely covers. All right, so this piece of paper right here is this design, and these are meant to be little pieces that you just cut up individually and stick on a card. I mean, obviously you can use it any way you want, but I figure there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tags. I'm going to have plenty of this one sheet to use up, so that's why I didn't mind using this other side. All right. So the next thing we need to do is create the shadow box. We need a hole to look through. So I decided you can use any shape that you want. You can do circles, ovals, rectangles. I'm bringing in my Countryside Corners dies. And if I look at the largest one, that fits on there, but these edges are really, really thin, and they're going to be a little too thin for our purposes. Because you would see the mechanism that pops it up through the window. So rather than have to work around that, I'm gonna just take the smaller size down. Now, while these dies are very easy to work with, if you wanted to just cut a rectangle out with your paper trimmer, you could do that also. But dies are honestly a lot easier. So let's bring in my Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. We will need plate 1 and 2. We will need a plate 3. Boy, mine are getting a workout here. I think it's about time to replace them. I've had these ones working out with me for quite a while. So let me place this on here. Now, see this flat or this straight edge? I don't want anything going through that's parallel here if it's a straight edge. So I'm going to just turn it a bit. And I am making sure that, you know, kind of my borders on tops and bottoms and sides are all the same. And then we can just feed it through. And you can save this for another project or the inside of the card. All right, so I got this idea from a British demonstrator, and I'm not even sure what his last name is. I know his first name is Michael. And I tweaked it. For one thing, I needed to make it American or imperial units instead of the metric that he used. And I also did some different shapes, and he actually didn't have this piece on a card base. He mounted this on another piece of cardstock and then mounted it on the card base, which I thought added some unnecessary weight and therefore potentially extra postage. So that's what I wanted to avoid. So now we're going to bring in these little mechanisms here. And can you see my little M or W, which depending on which way you hold it? I want this middle fold to be in the middle of the card. So I want it to point towards the middle of the card. So I'm going to put this right out here, and I'm going to try to leave just a little bit of a sliver of the base showing. That will just give it a little bit more of a finished look. I don't want anything sticking out that doesn't need to be showing out there. I'm going to just put this right down here, and I'll show you that I'll have it showing in just a second. Let me just let that set up for a second. And can you see that you can see just a little bit of that base card right there? We're going to do the same thing on the other side. We want this middle fold to be towards the middle of the card. And again, we're going to place it down pretty close to the edge, but not right on the edge. Not right on the edge. And it's okay if your scoring lines were not totally perfect. It'll be okay. It'll be hidden anyways, right? And now we just need to adhere this piece. And you want to pay attention. So like I've got a couple of little planes here. I want them right side up. So I'm just paying attention to the orientation of that top piece, if whatever piece you have has an orientation. I'll add some glue right here. And we'll set this down, and it does need to come over to the edge a little bit. I'm going to flip this over, make sure I see a little bit of the edge, which I do. It's harder on this side because it's white on white. But if you've got the top and bottom lined up, you'll be good. This really looks probably harder than it is, but you just want to take a little bit of time and care. I'll just kind of set that down like that. All right, and so if I squish it, that'll help everything set up straight. And there we go. There is our shadow box. So you can see there's this depth in here that we get to play with now. All right, and it does fold flat for mailing. Now, will it need a surcharge? I don't think so. But these ends are a little bit thicker, but I don't think it'll need a surcharge when it comes to postage. All right, and now it's time to decorate. All right, I'm going to bring in my 3 plain stamps, and I could stamp them one at a time and then die cut, or I can kind of arrange them on the same block and stamp. And I'm going to use basic gray. It's a little bit lighter than the Memento, the Tuxedo Memento black. It just gives it a little bit of a softer look. I mean, you could even go into the gray granite family, smoky slate, something like that. So only thing you want to make sure is you have a piece of paper that's large enough to stamp. All right, and there we go. And now we're going to color those, and then what we can do here is we can put these dies on and die cut them all with one pass. I'm all for efficiency. So because I'd be cutting more than one at a time, I probably will go ahead and use some washi tape or sticky notes to keep those in place. But I don't just need that. I also need some clouds. So let's see if now I want to make sure, remember, because these dies take up a little bit more space. So I can bring in some clouds too here. I don't want to get things too close, but I can definitely get in a couple more on this one sheet. But I'm going to stamp those one at a time. And let's see, I don't think I'm going to do it in this. I think I'll do it in boho blue, which is one of the blues in the paper. It's in that sky background. So let's go ahead and we'll put this right here. And then we will put the other one. I should just wash that while I'm doing it. There's that one. And there is one more cloud stamp, and I will bring it in. It's the longer one, which I can really probably make into 2 clouds just by cutting it in half. And look how convenient. We've got this little piece of paper right here. So this is just scraps. Remember, this was the layer that I cut wrong the first time. So see, there's hope. I'm gonna wash my stamps. Be right back. All right, so I have these all kind of tacked down where I want them to go. And then I've just got to do this one. I can usually get away with not tacking it down if there's one, but if there's more than one on the same sheet or the same pass, then I like to tack them down because the machine does wiggle it when it's going through. So if, you know, the things in the back are separated from the front, they may be moving. So let's go ahead and put the top one on this. And so rather than making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 passes of my machine, just a little forethought. And you know what? If you don't need all the pieces, you don't need to use all the pieces. But if you're going to be running stuff through, run more through and not less. And then you'll have pieces for next time. Or this time, if that's what you're using them for. And that's what I am using them for. So if you are using washi tape, just be very gentle when you're removing it. All right, now I could have colored these before I cut them out, but I didn't, and it's not a big deal. Just I'm bringing in copper clay because that is, that's something that's in the suite. It's part of the DSP color boho blue and smoky slate and night of navy and copper clay. And I thought that probably a lot of my other projects that I'm going to do for this class will have copper clay in it because of the DSP. So I wanted things to kind of match. I'm just gonna kind of come in and I'm gonna color the wings. I'm really gonna color the body of the plane too. Probably put in some gray over here, and this is smoky slate. I'm gonna put some gray in for the wheels and landing gear, and probably for the engine part of the plane, well, engine, propeller part, whatever. You know what I mean. Okay, we are done. And so now we are at the assembly stage. Means we'll bring our card back in here and we need to figure out where things are gonna go. So I'm gonna leave that for last. See, I want some planes flying in the background. So the furthest back will be the one that's on directly on this DSP. And we're gonna put that right there. Now, do we want him on a cloud? Do we want a cloud, him coming from behind a cloud? That kind of could go either way, couldn't it? Let's see, do something like that. Before we tack anything down, we're going to just arrange. Let's see, we've got this one flying up. Maybe we've got this one kind of coming in like this. So I'm going to do something with this one to make him on a different level too. But let's pretend, okay, he's not going to sit there very well, so I have to put him off a little bit. And we can bring in some other clouds in here. Could put a cloud right there and cut off the excess. And same thing over here. We bring in a cloud, except for we could put him in right here in the inside so he hangs at a different level. I think that's what we're gonna do. Let's kind of do that and see where we're at. All right, so without moving too much stuff, where's my take your pick tool? That would probably be easier to pick this thing up with. As I was coloring, I heard, I'm filming this on Sunday before Tuesday. I heard some thunder. I haven't heard anything from my son yet, and he does not like thunder. I'm surprised I haven't heard him, but he's probably trying to ignore it as best he can. That's my guess. Okay, so we've got that plane flying in there. And to give this one a different level, we're going to use some dimensionals. I'm going to just use up some edge pieces. And we'll put them right on the back of the plane. See, this right here is why my glue sometimes clogs up, because I leave it open. Always a good habit to get into, to close it when you're not using it. Okay. So maybe we're doing this. All right. And we can bring in this guy. I'm going to put the glue down and then decide where it goes. Make sure the glue is there. That's good. If I want to put a little bit of glue right here, I can, just to anchor that a little bit. What I'll do is I'll flip this over and trim that off. There we go. And then we need to put this guy over here. All right, he shifted a little bit. I'm gonna just cut a little bit of his white off. Cut edge off a little bit. So, do I want to put him? Yeah. So if I can put him right there. He's hanging off that little lip that's inside there. Remember that little middle point of the M? That's what we're attaching him to. So he's going to go in there. All right, and so can you see how we have all sorts of different layers going on here? It's really pretty cool, I think. How'd this guy slip? I didn't want him down that far. How'd he slip? How did he slip? Here we go. I have a little bit of adhesive where I don't want it. Let's bring in a little adhesive eraser. You can get these at the Dollar Tree, Amazon, something like that. And so there we have, I feel like I need something up here. What do I need up there? Do I need to make another, do I need to do another cloud? No, I don't think so. Maybe what I'll do is I will put a sentiment up there. Let's see what we've got. All right, I thought about who I wanted to send this to, and a couple weeks ago, my friend and chiropractor, we go to church together, so he is my friend. He cut me in last minute. He kind of squeezed me in when he didn't have any time, but you know, it's all about who you know. And so I'm going to send him this because he also flies planes. So you don't need to have somebody in your life that flies planes for this set. I think this is a fun set no matter what. but because he is a pilot, I think he will appreciate this. I know he'll appreciate it. All right. So this die, by the way, is in the Adventurous Sky dies. So it's part of all that you get in this bundle. Remember, this bundle is on special for the rest of June, which means not a whole lot longer. All right, so we're just gonna, I think, put this right there. Ah, yes, that looks great, I think. And I was gonna put something up here, but I really think I like it down here. So that's where we're going. To my friend. All right, and there is the front of my card, and I could embellish it with some different embellishments. So now on the inside of my card, remember we had this little piece right here. So we could put that here. We could put it over here and then write something over here. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my sentiment right there. And also from this set is "You're the best, plain and simple." Ha ha ha. Get it? I'm sure you do. You're the best, plain and simple. And that's just going to go on the inside of this card. Dress it up a little bit, and I have a little bit of room to write something, but I don't have to write a lot. And there is our faux shadow box card. See all the different layers of pieces here. On the back, popped up a bit, and on the front. So lots of little pieces, and it folds flat for mailing. All right, I thought about a way to go ahead and balance this because something wasn't quite right, and it's the balance of the copper clay elements. So I brought in the copper clay jute, and the jute is very thick, so I don't really want to use it the way it is, but I can go ahead and separate the threads. And just takes a little bit of work here because it twists as it goes down. I'm going to hold some of it in my mouth. There we go. See, that worked. And I can just add, let's see, what I could do is I'm just experimenting here. I could add a little bow. Could add just a little bow like that. Or what I could do is I could feed this through here. I come up here and just go ahead and tie a knot. Now I might want to tie a bow. Let's see if we can, how the bow looks. If it looks a little too girly, I'm not going to use it. All right, let's see. There's my bow. Oop, it is thundering out. My son thinks it's the end of the world. But it's not. It is not, Matthew. Okay. Let's see if I just trim this other end here. There. I think that balances it a little bit better. I'm happy with that. For this last project, I wanted to do something a little bit outside the box. I'm going to begin with this pattern from the Designer Series paper and cut a piece that is 6 by 6. Now you could do this with any particular pattern. I'm just choosing this one. I mean, you could do it with the green that's on the other side. Doesn't really matter. I'm bringing in a Hershey's chocolate bar. I happen to have some in my house because my camper is going to the camper doctor this week, and so we kind of took all the things that were in the fridge and different things out, and we keep this in the fridge because it's been hot here, so we didn't want it to melt. Anyway, I had this, and I'm going to create a little wrapper for this. Now you can see that this is a little bit longer than I probably need. I could probably make this to be 5 3/4 in one direction, just so, because this is really only the chocolate part of it, and that's about 5 it's about 5 1/2 actually. But I don't think I want to cut this down too much more. Now I don't know which way was the 6 and which way was the 5 1/2. Let's see. All right, this is the longer one. All right, so that's what we have here, and we're just going to wrap this around our Hershey bar. Now, if you want to go ahead and put in some scores, you certainly can. You want to be very careful when you're folding this around that you're not breaking your Hershey bar. I mean, even though that I need this to be broken for me to use it the way I want to use it. I use it on s'mores, and I only make half at a time, but if you love s'mores, I love s'mores. What I like about this is these silver ends. That's going to mimic the propeller on my plane quite nicely. I'm going to just take some really strong adhesive. In this case, I believe I'm going to take my tear and tape. And let's see if I can find the end of that. All right. I'm just going to put that right here. Ooh, I'm at the end of my tear and tape. I knew I was getting close. Let's see. Do I have some more? I do. I always got to have backup adhesives. So as soon as I open the last of a package, I order more. And this stuff lasts quite a while. I really do have another one, so I don't have to order one right now, but I stocked up when I knew prices were going up. But also I keep some extra on hand in case any of my customers need some. So now we'll just take this off. Come on, there we go. And I've got the wrap on fairly tight. I just wanted to make sure it was straight. So there is our wrapper. Looks nice, but we're going to make it look a little bit nicer. We're going to put a little airplane on here carrying a message. All right, I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I picked out some colors and some dies I'm going to use. I'm going to use plates 1 and 2 because I'm die cutting. I am going to cut the body of the plane from Boho Blue. Whoops, I need a cutting plate first. All right, and I'm going to cut the wings in the front of the plane from white. This is just a white scrap I have. And this little piece right here, which I'll show you what that is in a little bit. I'm gonna keep it a surprise for right now. Oh, and you know what? I think I can fit something else on here. I need a piece of silver. Just got my silver in, so I'm gonna have to cut off a little bit of a piece of this shiny, shiny silver. This is gonna be the propeller, and I'm gonna actually make a nice cut with my paper trimmer off camera. Don't mind me. Talk amongst yourselves. And I don't need a piece that's 12 inches long, so I'm just going to cut this down a little bit. So I've got this little piece right here, and we will bring in the propeller blade. Now, in the die set, we actually get 2 propeller blades from 1 die. All right, we're going to cut this out here. Okay. And then I do want to do a little bit more die cutting. Let me just set these pieces off to the side. We'll clean them up in just a second. But I want to make sure I get these pieces out first. And get my little propellers out. All right, I got those pieces out. Now I am ready to do some clouds. Now before I do the clouds, I'm going to set that aside just a little bit. I'm going to bring in another piece of basic white, and I'm going to do a little stamping of my clouds in boho blue. And let's see, I don't think I want the huge cloud, or the largest cloud, I should say. But I will take these smaller ones. And let's go ahead and stamp them. I'm going to just put them on the same stamp for now. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper just so I can stamp off. I want the blue to be pretty light. I'm going to do a couple of them maybe. Stamp off, stamp, stamp again. Okay, so that's really a very subtle detail in those clouds. So let me go ahead and bring in the cloud dies. So I need this one. I think I'm gonna use the really light one too. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'll use the lighter one of this one too. It just adds a little bit of detail. I might go back and cut both of them out. We'll see. We'll see how I like what I have. You know what? I know I'm gonna need another cloud, because I think we're gonna want 3. We'll see. We'll see. But you know what? While I've got my machine here, I might as well do it. If I don't use it, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'll have to save it for another time. That's all right too, isn't it? All right, might as well just cut these while I'm here. All right, so now I've got some more clouds. I've got clouds, and I've got propellers and plane parts. One thing I don't have, and I'll show you that in just one moment. Let me bring this back out here. So I'm going to bring in my little propeller piece, and let's see, all these parts poke out pretty easily. I mean, you can mostly do it with your hands as well, just like that. They fall right out. So there's the detail of the wings. And none of this pops out, but this lays right on top of here, just like so. And so you can see where you're going to put some of the, so we have something that going on like this. Now, probably it wouldn't be a bad idea to either use a darker color for my plane or even a color that's not even associated with this, like a red plane. Oh, 4th of July is coming up. Oh, time out. I need to go do that. Okay, I'm back. I'm back with a red plane. Look at this. Look at this. So every 4th of July for probably 20, oh, Aaron was just a baby. He's 27 now. Yeah, he's 27 now. So he was just, he was about 6 months old. So this is our 28th year of going camping with friends over 4th of July. A sad story. I'm going to glue this while I talk. It's a very sad story this year. We usually go with a lot of people from our church. Like there's like 8 families. So there's, you know, somewhere between 30 and 45 of us usually. And so we have this place in the North Conway region that we like to go, but they had experienced some severe flooding and damage, so they canceled our trip this year. And then it was hard to find places to go that would take everybody, and some people are like, never mind, it's not worth the hassle. But for me, like, it is the highlight of my camping season. I love camping with my friends. And even though there's just a few of us, and by few I mean my family and one other family going, we decided we love to do it, and we're gonna do it, and we're gonna be close by. So there's a campground that's very close by that could take us. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna have fun. And we usually have s'mores. So we're gonna have s'mores, and you know what you need for s'mores? You need a Hershey bar. So I'm gonna use this Hershey bar as an invitation to invite them over for s'mores on the 4th of July. Unless it's raining, and then I'll do it on the 3rd of July. So we make sure we get our s'mores in, because you need to do that. And so this little piece right here actually attaches to your plane, and that's a part that pulls a little banner. So what I can do is I can cut a little piece of cardstock, and I'm going to, now I could say, I could find a stamp that says you're invited, but I don't want to do that. I'm gonna do the one that says just flying by to say hi. What did I do with that one? Just flying by to say hi right here. And then I can put the directions or the time for our s'mores party. Let's face it, we're camping. We don't have times. But I'm gonna just make a little bit of a banner. Let me go ahead and measure how wide this one is. This little piece right here. It is about 5/8 of an inch. So if I cut this to be 5/8 of an inch wide, let's go ahead and we'll cut a little piece off. 5/8 of an inch. All right, let's see what we got here. And I think we should stamp it in red, real red. Maybe I'll even give this to them this week in anticipation of our camping trip. There we go. Flying by to say hi. And so we will put this little guy on here. I'm just going to see how it fits. Now you can make a longer card too. So we could just put that right there, or you can put that right on over there. It's one of those little banner that planes kind of around here sometimes have with advertising on them. I remember because I'm not from coastal Maine, the first time I saw one of those things pulling a banner, I thought, that is so cool. I still think it's cool, but not as much as I used to. Look, I'm using my last dimensional on this sheet. Yay. All right, so we've got that there, and we'll use some edges of this one just to get him flying up off that a little bit. And put that right there. I think one more in the middle, just to give it some stability. Okay. So my plane is gonna go right up here. Oh, I love this project. If I do say so myself, and I do. So it's gonna go just like that. It's gonna be perfect. Let's put a little bit of glue on the bottom of this guy. Could probably put a glue dot on there, make it a little bit easier. Let's just see if we can slide him under here without touching until the last possible second. There we go. Down right there. And then I'm just, you know, this, oops, he's not attached yet. Let me go ahead and press that glue down into there. There we go. There we go. And now we'll glue this right to the piece. Just like that. And look at that. Isn't that so cute? Sometimes I amaze myself. Oh, I forgot the clouds. Oh, let's see. We can put the clouds in here too, can't we? So yeah, we just put them wherever. Yeah, I think maybe we only want 2 here just because we do have other things going on. We've got that banner that kind of acts as that third little piece. Let's put this behind the wheel. We'll just put this one over here. You know what we could do is take this little one and just kind of put that down there too. Oh, there we go. That looks good. I think like that. Yeah, so cute. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed making it. Wait, I forgot something. I forgot my propeller. All right, we gotta put the propeller on. Just needs a little bit of glue right there. Let's see, how am I putting the blade on? Let's see. Right there. Yeah. I don't want it to extend much beyond the blue part, just because it'll probably get wrecked. But there we go. There's the project. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have stuck with me, whether it's in one setting or a couple different settings, and have been able to get some ideas for some new things that you might want to create. Don't forget that ordering link is in the description of this video below. And not only will you get the card kit with your order, but you will also get a PDF tutorial that will also link back to this video. Have a great rest of your week.